Welcome to the Marriage Puzzle Podcast with Julie and Thomas Hobby. We are marriage coaches who help couples with pain points about money, intimacy, and communication go from being overwhelmed to being secure in their marriage.
If this is your first time listening to us, thanks for checking out our podcast. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a rating and a review. Let's dive into this episode.
Episode 60. Thanks for hanging out with us week after week. We just got off of a 3-week set talking about money, sex, and communication on our podcast because that's our niche. But we don't want to just circle back around to that every 3 weeks. And so as we prep for our Monday podcast episodes, we're trying to come to you guys with something that either Thomas and I experienced or learned or worked through that particular week. Or maybe the idea came from a coaching session that we had with a couple. Not that we'd ever disclose who or exactly what, but just if it was a topic that was relevant for us to talk about. And so this week, just as we were prepping and kind of like, what do you want to share? We were talking about the words empathy and encouragement. And the definition of empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. And the definition of encouragement is the action of giving someone support. And both of those are really, really important in marriages and relationships, specifically when you go through hard times.
Yeah, so when a spouse is going through a traumatic or stressful situation, that's kind of what we're talking about, is that's when you're going to need the most empathy for them and encouragement to them to kind of help them get through that. And when that's happening, spouses, the spouse who's primarily going through it, because a lot of these stressful situations or traumatic situations impact one spouse more closely than the other. That's just the natural way things work. That could be a family event, or it could be something going on at someone's work, things like that. But when a spouse is going through that, they're going to naturally just be more irritable, more short-tempered. They might just plain have a bad attitude. They might even bottle up their emotions, just trying to stay strong for the family, which is bad. I mean,
it's going to come out sometime.
Right. And all of those are bad, but that's where the empathy side comes in, is because that's when they need the most grace in that situation, because you're the one who knows what they're actually going through. And so that's when they need the empathy side of this. And, when you notice that's what's going on, this is when you are the person that they need the most. And they're not just trying to push you away, they're just struggling with something. And so we want to talk about a few things that you can do to help with this type of a situation.
Yeah, actually, this just came to mind. An example that I shared with Thomas during the week is like, sometimes with traumatic situations, you kind of go into survival mode. And so maybe that's kind of leaning into when you bottle up your emotions, depending on your personality, because it'd be like an example of if you're, in the middle of the ocean or something, and you're treading water and you're just trying to survive. So you have all this energy, you're burning energy, but you have all this, stamina to get through and push through. And then when you make it to the shore, for, example, that's when you get through maybe that traumatic situation, or it comes to a close. I think of when our baby will come home from the NICU, like, I know there's more coming, and people will see, oh, you're out of the water, you're done treading water, you've survived. And yet when we make it to the shore, that might be when the emotions come. That might be like the deep breath of, I made it, but all the emotions that we were carrying while we were trying to survive is going to come out. And I think that's an example of what could happen after a hard season for one spouse, and the other spouse is like blindsided by it a little bit, of this over emotional, they might think, person. And like, how do you deal with that? And why are you crying now? But I think it's like, the after effect, that big wave of emotion can also come later. And that's when they, like you said, need you the most, because a lot of other people won't understand the after effect of that.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned it as survival mode, because when a situation is happening, let's say in your personal life, that could affect your work, that's when you're going to naturally like bottle up those emotions to kind of wall it off from work, and that way your work isn't affected, even though it really probably is getting affected. You just can't realize it. Same if it's the other way around. If something's going on super stressful at work, you're going to try and bottle that in to try and have your family life survive through that situation and try to be strong. So I love that picture that you painted there around survival mode, because I think that it's really exactly what's happening. If you're treading water over here, like, you don't want to have to like have that spill over and have to tread water in the other area of your life as well. And so you really try and just wall that off so that you can switch back and forth into two different mindsets. And you really can't, just as humans, I don't think we can emotionally totally cut things off one side or another. But we want to tell you some ways that we think that you can help your spouse through this with empathy and encouragement.
Yeah, because I think I've said a lot with the past 3 episodes with money, sex, and communication. We use the word comfortable a lot. So you probably were more empathetic and encouraging maybe early on in your marriage or early on in your relationship, the dating honeymoon phase. And then we get comfortable. And then when emotions come years down the road in a marriage, you could probably look at your spouse and be like, what's wrong with you? Or get over it. And that's why we really, try to dig deep here and say, what are some tangible ways when things like that happen that you can show, and how can you be empathetic and encouraging? And so the first one I'd say is validate their emotions. Just validate. So whatever they are going through, it needs to be validated to them. This is time you can let them lean on your strength to show them you are still on their team. And it's not the time to tell them, like I said, to just suck it up and get over it. That is red flag right there.
Yeah.
Empathy, like I said, the definition is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. And so just validate them.
Right. Number 2 is understand that they're not specifically attacking you. So we talked at the beginning that, they may, if they're going through something, they're going to naturally just be more irritable or short-tempered or have a bad attitude. Or if they're bottling their emotions up, that's probably going to come out on you. So they're under attack by the situation, and their heightened emotions have to go somewhere. And because they're the most comfortable with you, they're likely going to feel they can express those emotions in a negative way towards you. Again, that's not them attacking you specifically. Now, it can feel that way in specific situations. If you're having an argument, it can come across as a personal attack. But if you are aware of what's going on with your spouse's life, then you can read into that and you can say, okay, I know that they are not just attacking me specifically. There's a situation, a deeper root to this that is causing this personal attack. And so you can forgive them and really try and dig into the root.
Yeah. And then the last point we had is encourage them to pick themselves up and take a step forward. And so, again, that's not a suck it up. It's a...
Yeah, don't hear that wrong. Yeah. Don't hear that wrong. That's not what we're saying.
I said that number 1. Like, don't say suck it up. This is a encouragement to take a step forward means hold my hand. We're going to get through this together. And the only way to do this is by taking one step at a time forward. But we're a team. We're going to do it together. I'm here for you because I'm empathetic and encouraging.
Exactly. So validate their emotions, understand that they're not specifically attacking you in the situation. So you're kind of going to wrap some forgiveness into that and encourage them. empathy and encouragement. That's basically what it is. So when you get to that encouragement, that doesn't necessarily mean it's over. It's just because you've gotten to step 3 and you say, okay, good job, let's move forward. That doesn't mean they're going to be able to do that. That means that they're really going to be leaning on you during that time. You're gonna have to be the one to kind of suck it up and say, okay, I'm going to help you through this. I'm going to pull you up and we're going to take a step forward. You're not going to drag them along. You're not going to drag them to where you want them to be. You're going to help them to get where they need to be. And that's the difference between, encouraging them and pushing them. We're not trying to push them somewhere or force them somewhere. We're trying to say, look, I know what you're going through is tough. This is really hard. I'm right here with you. I know that, I need to give you grace right now because, your emotions are attacking you, and I'm here to walk through this with you. So let's get it done together.
I felt like you were just talking to me. I'm like, oh, I'm going to cry. Let's do this together, babe. We're a team.
Halftime speech. Let's get back out there.
It's good, guys. If you ever have any questions about this, you know how to reach us. But I wanted to say, even if you don't do a coaching with us just yet, we love to hear from you from our DMs. You can message us on Instagram and Facebook. Ask questions. Give us podcast topics that you want to hear. But if you do want to jump on a video chat with us, we do offer a free discovery call for you and your spouse together to talk to us face to face, virtually, wherever you are, and then see if coaching is right for you. So check that out at marriagepuzzle.com, or like I said, you can DM us on our social media channels, which is at Marriage Puzzle. And as always, we look forward to you joining us next week, where together we'll work on marriage one puzzle piece at a time. See you later.
Have a great week.